Five, four, three, two, one. Christ. Brazil's racial makeup shifted in a unique way. For the first time in the historical series of Brazil's census, multiracial people make up the majority of the population. The shift has more to do with new ways of thinking about identity than with demographic changes. With the last census data released by the Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics, IBGE, or IBGE, multiracial people outnumber any other group in the country for the first time in the current historical series, making up 45% of the population, the total population. However, some Brazilian statistical nuances must be understood to fully comprehend the significance of this finding. Race is self-identified in the Brazilian census, adhering to four categories: black, white, indigenous, amarela, and parda, or multiracial, now the largest contingent in the country. Previously the largest racial group in Brazil, the white population, now makes up 43% of the country. Just over 10% identify as black, while the indigenous and amarela populations make up 0.8% and 0.4% respectively. That is 0.8 for indigenous and 0.4 for amarela, which I assume means asiático, but I don't really understand as I'm reading this now what specifically that means. It's self-reporting, so I guess it doesn't matter too much. If you think you're yellow, you're yellow. The second important Brazilian nuance is that despite the significant changes from 12 years prior, the 2022 findings do not mean the country has undergone a major demographic shift. Instead, they show a change in Brazilians' relationship with their own racial identity. Though race is self-defined, the country's complicated and often violent history of miscegenation of indigenous, European, and African populations makes it challenging for Brazilians to trace their own heritage and determine their own ethnicity. The pardo race category was created in the 19th century amid an attempt to whiten the Brazilian population and sweep its African heritage under the rug. This is a fascinating topic to me because in the United States it was the exact opposite. And we'll talk. I'll imagine I'll talk about that later. Fueled by a racist belief that whites were superior, government officials set about building policies that encourage miscegenation, the mixing of races and genes, genetics. President Nilo Peçanha and Rodrigues Alves and Washington Luiz, who all had multiracial backgrounds and would today be themselves recognized as pardos, were often perceived as white due to their status in the political elite. The government also encouraged the arrival of immigrants from Central European countries such as Germany, Switzerland, and Poland, who were given benefits to settle in the country and build communities that replicated their own culture, their own old country culture, European culture, white European culture. The two southern Brazilian states of Rio Grande do Sul and Santa Catarina received the lion's share of these immigrants, and until today are almost 80% white. In the former German settlement of Pomerode, for example, there are still many residents who speak both Portuguese and a dialect of High German. Wow.